Welcome back. It's your Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. Of course, your day starter. I have a copy of the Daily Trust on Saturday with me. Let's take a look at the front page of the paper together. The lead story there says, prevent genocide in Gaza. UN court tells Israel stops short of calling for immediate ceasefire. South Africa, Hamas, others, Lord ruling. Israeli officials accuse ICJ of anti-Semitic bias. U.S. court to hear genocide case against Biden. We see Inside Politics. We'll analyze 2024 budget to ensure there's no imbalance against North. That's according to Senator Ali Ndume. That story is on page 8. We also see the cover story. It says FCT battles banditry amidst decayed infrastructure. Earlier I was talking about the insecurity situation within the FCT. Well, Daily Trust has it as its cover. Mountains around Abuja, liability, not assets, according to experts. Unresolved questions over failed $460 million CCTV project. If you go around the FCT, you would most likely see solar-powered cameras on some of these pedestrian bridges, and of course, you would see some might be conspicuously hidden, but others not so much. But I guess you get the picture if you reside in the FCT. What happened to the $460 million CCTV project? Also, Kannywood has a lot to offer. That's according to Ismaila Umar Muhammad. This is on the entertainment page of Daily Trust on Saturday. And of course, the feature says, Gaya, Kanu business-inclined emirate without a bank. You want to know how it's possible for a business-inclined emirate to operate without a bank and why it is so? Well, page 24 has that feature story. And at the bottom of the page, we see there would have been mayhem in Mangu if not for military intervention. That's according to Cleric. Of course, you might be aware that the situation has been quite deteriorating for a while. It started on Tuesday, followed through to Wednesday. But thankfully, the security agents and agencies intervened to keep the situation under control. But however, they said it would have escalated even more if not for the intervention. Besides that, we see 2023 airstrike. Air chief admits killing of innocent civilians in Nasarawa seeks forgiveness. This had happened, I think, early in 2023. And you can read more on this story on page 4. Finally, on the news, FCT primary school teachers suspend strike. Well, these are some of the stories which is spread across the front page of the Daily Trust on Saturday. And as we review and check the headlines of other papers, we'll be delving into some interesting stories, in the Daily Trust. But before then, we have The Punch. It says, as its lead story, rape sentence. Church members say popular Lagos pastor framed conviction will be overturned. There are a couple of riders there. The rider says, pastors travail confirmation of devil's attack on church. But would one really say that? I mean, the pastor was convicted of, but then again, I mean,
people are saying, they're saying that he's framed, so investigations.
Indeed. There are a couple of other stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Let's look at the top of the page. The top of the page says 140 federal government appointees to assess ministers' performance. So I know a lot of Nigerians are looking forward to this because for the longest of time, the president has mentioned that he will not hesitate to fire non-performing ministers, and also the special advisor to the president on policy coordination, Hadiza Bala Usman, had stated during a retreat in Uyo, made the same statement that this time it's getting to 6 months since these ministers were appointed and inaugurated or sworn in. So, I mean, they should be ready for the first set of appraisals, upon meeting up with their KPIs. And Nigerians wait eagerly to see what the move of the president would be if a minister is scored low in performance. It says assessors drawn from 35 ministries, departments, and agencies. Also, there's billionaires banter. Otedola welcome to attempt corporate takeover. Dangote says, interesting story. That's page 15. There's an insert story. It says, Ondo 2024. Akeredolu's men may back ex-finance commissioner against Aiyedatiwa. Well, as the politics in Ondo gets more and more interesting following the unfortunate demise of the former governor, Rotimi Akeredolu. Besides that, we see worsening economic hardship fuels youth battle with depression and suicide. You see, this story has, it touched me really, because the economic situation is one that one would describe, a lot of Nigerians generally would describe as quite hard. And as a youth, it's even quite difficult for you because, there's pressures from the left, the right, and center. You're struggling to survive. You're struggling to keep up. There's peer pressure and quite a number of things. So, I mean, depression, suicide, abuse of drugs, these are some of the symptoms of the, impact of the economy. That is the hardship. But then again, AFCON, Eagles vow to devour Lions in last 16 clash. I look forward to this happening, Fatih. I see the excitement when you were saying, and again. Yes. Team Nigeria, I mean, I'll be adorning my jersey as I watch this match.
I can imagine what you're going to
and expectation to come out victorious. We really need to teach these Cameroonians a lesson. Honestly, they need to know who they are dealing with. They're not dealing with rookies.
I like the spirit, saying that they're going to devour.
Quite fired up.
It's giving us the boost that they're going to do something
yes,
great.
Indeed.
So,
And at the bottom of the page, just on the belt, we see police comb Ogun Forest for abducted Lagos PDP chair as kidnappers demand 200 million naira ransom. That's it for the Punch newspaper.
Okay, so let's quickly look at the Nation. The major story there says 15 escaped death in Ibadan air mishap. Private jet overshoots airport runway. NCC suspends Martini Airlines license. Authorities blame brake failure for incidents. You can find that story on page 2. And then Yahoo boy stabbed parents as magic soap fails to produce fortune. You can find that story on page 13. Now, Segiri, that's a sad one because, he stabbed his parents to death because of the, all these misconceptions about, rituals with the soap, making you rich and what have you.
It's a scourge, honestly. And, well, I really would not want to say.
Would you say it's the economic hardship that is actually putting them in this situation? It's
really sad when you see situations like this where one decides in his mind or their minds that wealth is much better than the lives of another person. Let's not even go further to extend that to your parents. I mean, these are the people who bore you. They gave you life. They brought you to the world. But then again, in your list of priorities, you put wealth first before them.
So it's really sad.
It's for the wealth that you can sacrifice anything.
And you're not going to go, with it at the end of the day. Again,
he's found himself in trouble. He's been arrested. And hopefully he will face the full wrath of the law if found guilty. Because then again, I mean, it's a sad one. You can pick the Nation and go through that on page 13. Lagos bishop gets live jail for raping assistant pastor. You can find that story on page 2. AFCON Super Eagles Cameroon battle for quarterfinal tickets. You can find that story on page 31.
And then above the belt, the river crisis. Assembly bars Fubara from appointing local government chairman, overrides governor's veto on 4 bills. You can find that story on page 4. Abductors demand 200 million to free Lagos PDP chair and others. You can find that story on page 3. And I think that's it for The Nation this morning. Secure to the next page.
Interesting. So let's go to Saturday Sun. For the Saturday Sun, well, the Saturday has got quite a busy front page today. Beside the masthead, we see Bishop bags life jail for raping assistant pastor. Also, we see below that, we see Afenifere, why we removed Adebanjo as acting leader. Well, I guess if you want to know why they did that, you would have to read page 28 of the Saturday Sun. They also say we'll meet to review decision. Adebanjo's camp has reacted to the removal of Pa Adebanjo as, of course, the leader of Afenifere. And beside that, we see MBF, Northern Elders fight over plateau killings. Pogu accuses North, federal government, security agencies of complicity in alleged ethnic cleansing. Your allegations baseless. That's according to the Northern Elders Forum, and that story is on page 25 and also extends to page 28. And for the lead story, confusion over PDP, Labour Party, NNPP merger plans. There's a writer there that says opposition parties divided on formation of coalition to challenge the APC. It's an interesting front page story. The story is on page 25. Below that, we see Ishak Akintola Idi Mirik. We voted Muslims to power, but Christians are the ones benefiting. That's an interesting one. Oh, if you want to get details on that story, you would have to read page 22 of the Saturday Sun. And also, Bodejo, Mieti Allah leader, nomadic vigilantes established to end kidnapping, banditry. Those opposed to outfit are Fulani enemies. So you remember sometime last week, they had inaugurated about, I think, 1,000 plus, nomadic vigilantes who would be tasked with the responsibility, of assisting the security agencies in areas of insecurity and also combing forest in Nasarawa, just so as to prevent further attacks by non-state actors and also to increase the general safety of the area. Well, he says the vigilantes are established to end kidnapping and banditry, and those opposed to it are enemies of the Fulani. And beside that, we see Lagos PDP chairman, Ivoji, abducted. I know the chairman was abducted on his way back from a function which was organized by Governor Seyi Makinde, but then again, we do hope for his safe return. That's it for the Saturday Sun today.
We just hope that, these vigilantes will do something good, because, I feel the bandits actually know some of them since they belong in the same areas or communities.
Yes,
and they're kind of scared of vigilantes.
Quite. For a long time, during interactions with security experts, counterterrorism experts, and generally those, in the line of security, they have said that the way to go, quite a number of them actually share this opinion. The way to go is to, mobilize and ensure or the establishment of a state police. And this is because when you have a state police or a community police, these guys know the terrain. They know those who are the real
perpetrators. Yes.
So they know how to handle in terms of neutralizing, some of their activities. So if the guys that were inaugurated by the Fulani Corps, well, if they will do their jobs, I know that it would help. But then again, they need backing from the state government.
Certainly.
And of course, by extension,
Certainly.
the federal government. And then the question of whether, they will bear arms or not comes to bear. But then again, there you have it. Nomadic vigilantes. It left to be seen how it goes.
Let's see how it goes. So let's quickly take a look at the weekend leadership. And the major story says, Gaza war. ICJ orders Israel to prevent genocidal acts. Netanyahu insists Israel has the right to defend itself. It's a decisive victory, Ramposa. You can find that story on page 4. And then NNPC rakes in records 8.8 trillion revenue in 2022. You can find that story on page 20. And then New Dawn, as second Ibra governor takes office in Kogi, from accidental governor to champion of minority rights. How Bello paved way for Ododo. You can find that story on page 7 of the leadership. And then above the belt, there says, Air Force admits killing civilians in 2023 Nasarawa airstrike. You can find that story on page 6. Supreme Court upholds Farouk Lawan's 5-year jail term. You can find that story on page 6. Now, Sergey, you just spoke about the state police and then, the vigilantes and the Air Force coming out to say that they're admitting that the killing of, some Nasarawa...
Well, yes, it's one thing to admit, it's one thing to say, yes, we did this and we're sorry, but then again, it's another thing to take actions that shows that you feel remorse, and also to try to, while you cannot buy another life and while you can't bring back the dead, you can atone.
Yeah.
So the question is, have they atoned enough, and have those who were directly or indirectly affected or impacted by the strikes, talking about family members, those who
have lost their
injured,
loved ones,
and the likes of that, community members who had their properties destroyed, have they atoned to them? Have they been forgiven? Well, I think that's
the question, yeah. So you pick up the leadership and go through the stories. That's it for leadership this morning.
Okay, we now move to The Guardian. Well, for The Guardian, quite a number of stories there as well, but the lead story there says, fears of fresh killings resonate on the plateau as crisis festers. And of course, very clearly there you could see a picture of the Governor Kile Mutfwang, of course, the IGP Kade Betoku, and the National Security Advisor, Madam Nuhu Ribadu. Of course, their pictures are here because these are those or the persons who are directly supposed to be responsible for ensuring security in the state and as well across Nigeria. Well, let's see how it goes. Below that, we see terrorists demand 60 million naira ransom for 31 abducted persons in Katsina. That story is on page 3. Also, Governor Yusuf has not decided to join the APC, says aide. That story is also on page 3. Fatih, the APC chairman, interestingly, the former governor of Kano State, Abdullah.
I've seen the, on social media yesterday. Yeah.
He extended an invite saying the APC is open to welcome, individuals into its ranks. So, but then the governor of Kano State, who is a member of the NNPP, said, no, thank you. The invitation. Then again, $500,000 OT bribe. Supreme Court upholds Farouk Lawan's 5-year jail term. This story is on page 3. It's been a long time coming indeed. I remember when this story first broke out a couple of years ago, and the controversies around the stories, especially, how the nature in which the video showed that he accepted or he collected this proceeds. Yeah. Well, can we say justice has been served?
It has. It's been, like you said, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's always great when you see, justice and, people that caught doing this kind of crime or corruption kind of thing, and they're actually.
I guess Nigerians would say, well, good riddance, and that serves him right.
And it's good that he's a politician, because there's this netizens saying that, oh, they are not always caught. Why is it?
Exactly.
But so, now here is it.
There's this feeling of that Nigerians hold that politicians get away with literally everything.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Seeing that somebody got caught, but not just getting caught alone, he got caught and is also going to pay for what he did. This time, I know there's this feeling among Nigerians. They feel like, yes, I mean, for the first time, at least this would serve as a deterrent to quite a number of others who have engaged, or who are currently engaged, or who are planning to engage in activities such as this. But then there you have it. On the belt says 1 year after, Air Force apologizes for killing 27 in Nasarawa airstrike. That story is on page 29. But top of the page, we see, well, Saturday special reps University Council on warpath. What are they fighting about? 683 billion naira TET fund intervention in jeopardy as House Committee halts implementation. Read more on that story on page 24 and 25. And let's see how this goes and turns out. And for Guardian Women, Aisha Sani Mekudi, an inclusive workspace environment enhances women's career advancement. Quite an interesting headline. I look forward to reading this story. It's on the women page.
Always every week there's this quote from a woman saying, a woman should do this, women should do that. And it's always encouraging, and I hope that it encourages other women to actually, but do something to push.
The front page of the Daily Trust will always look better for me.
Always. But you know that. Okay, now again.
No, I mean, but let's not delve into the battle of beautiful cover pages. So that's it for the Guardian newspaper.
So you earlier said we were going to take a look at some of them.
Yes, let's have a look into the Daily Trust. I think we'll be starting with the numbers page. That's on page 3. Let's get to numbers. It says 975. That's the number of stranded Nigerians NEMA repatriated from Niger Republic in 2023. Also, 128 million naira worth of cannabis sativa naval officers of Beecroft intercepted at Ibejuleki waterfront in Lagos. And also 16 countries, including Nigeria, that qualified for knockout stage of ongoing Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire. And of course, today, Nigeria will be playing Cameroon. And there's no better time to be
the excitement. The excitement. I'm wondering.
I wasn't happy.
Are you sure you're not going
initially,
to?
I wasn't happy with their performance against Guinea-Bissau, but then,
they did well.
It was a good game.
It was. They did well.
So, 35,000 jobs, 620 billion naira domestic direct investment, 66 billion naira foreign direct investment. Nigeria gains from special economic zones in 2023. Well, that's it for the numbers.